practicing the presence of peace. One morning last week, after I had fed Jordan and Nicholas, my two cats, I got some cereal and put my favorite coconut yogurt on top and went to sit in my lounge chair to eat breakfast and to watch the news. I think that I should try to keep up with what's happening in the world. And I was going back and forth between MSNBC and CNN. And I saw the list of the number of people who had been infected with the coronavirus in the U.S. and in the world. And I also saw the listing of how many have died from this virus in the U.S. and in the world. As I watched the news, the reporters had interviews with different politicians, interviews with doctors, medical researchers, about the state of the pandemic. There were stories about people who were heroes on the front lines, caring for others, and those who, in serving, succumbed to the virus and lost their own lives. I heard the personal stories of so many who had lost loved ones and now were losing their jobs because of the economy continuing to spiral downward. I saw pictures of people in their cars lined up on the streets of some cities, waiting for food from their local food bank. Then there was the news that the Russians are revving up again to tamper with our 2020 elections. And we had the president blaming the Chinese for the virus in this country and denigrating the World Health Organization and Dr. Andrew Fauci, the expert on infectious diseases. And then it hit me. As more bad news played on my TV screen, my thoughts and emotions were being hijacked. More bad news was being logged in my consciousness. I was feeling sad, agitated, disappointed, even almost angry at the state of our country and the world, and it made me feel exhausted, just sitting there in my lazy boy. Now, when you're sitting in your lazy boy chair with your feet up, you're supposed to be relaxing, okay? Well, my mood had started out pretty good, in good shape, but it was taking a nosedive as my awareness was dragged down by all the negativity that I was watching and hearing on the television. I was surprised how stealthy this process is. I was being sucked in by report after report, and it didn't hit me until quite a bit of the news had piled up in my thoughts what was happening. What happens when our thoughts and emotions are hijacked in this way? Well, what happens is we begin to think about the words we hear and the pictures that we see, and soon we begin to imagine what these other people are thinking and feeling and what it must be like for them with the devastation and the loss that they're dealing with. Then as we get caught up in all the negativity, we can begin fearing the worst for them, which doesn't really help these individuals who are directly affected. In fact, what happens is we begin sending out even more negative energy toward the situation by thinking the worst for them. I grabbed the remote, turned the TV off, just to get a break from it all, and regain my center and eat my bowl of cereal with my favorite coconut yogurt on top, in peace. The world has gotten so much larger, or is it smaller these days because of technology? Nowadays, we are not only aware of the troubles in our own backyards and neighborhoods, but every place in the world has become our neighborhood, giving new meaning to Jesus' commandment that we are to love others, love our neighbors as ourselves. And it is so easy to be overwhelmed by the news happening everywhere. A sense of peace, a sense that there is still goodness, there is still joy in the world is what my heart called for. And then I thought how this process must be affecting a lot of people who don't turn their televisions off or their phones, and they're constantly watching all of this. The doctors on TV are now alerting us to all the mental illnesses that this protracted period of malaise is producing. And we are being urged to reach out to get help when we are feeling lonely, fearful, anxious, and uncertain about our future. I'm taking webinars now called How to Find Purpose and Connection During the Pandemic, or How to Lead When You Don't Know Where You're Going. Uncertainty does not often lead to a peaceful mind or heart. What is peace? How do we claim it? The dictionary reads that peace is a stress-free state of security and calmness that comes when there's no fighting, no war, and everything is coexisting in perfect harmony and freedom. When you feel at peace with yourself, you are content to be who you are, flaws and all. Freedom from disturbance is a way to describe peace. Calm, tranquility, stillness, serenity. Peace is described as a state or a period in which there is no war, or war has ended. And by the way, this also refers to the war that goes on within us. The wars that we have between our own thoughts and feelings, our own heart and mind. Peace means having a sense that our thoughts and feelings are flowing harmoniously, and also that our head and heart agree with the head and heart of others. For me, the presence of peace means that I'm okay, and that other people are okay, and that others will be okay. To me, peace doesn't necessarily mean that right now everything is fantastic. Peace calls out our faith, our spiritual understanding and judgment, our ability to know that whenever we are facing challenges, that we will be okay. And so will those we love. Here's a story by a guy named Anonymous, who is obviously a prolific writer, which I think illustrates this idea of peace. Once there was a king who offered a prize to the artist who could paint the best picture depicting peace. Many artists took up the challenge and hundreds of artworks were created. The king looked at all the pictures, but in the end, there were only two that he really liked. The decision between these two was difficult. The first picture was of a calm lake, the water a perfect mirror of the peaceful, towering mountains that surrounded it on all sides. Overhead was a vibrant blue sky with fluffy white clouds, and all who saw the picture thought it was a perfect picture of peace. The second picture had mountains too, but these were rugged and bare, jutting beneath an angry sky which lashed out rain and strikes of lightning down from the heavens. Cascading down the mountain was a turbulent waterfall, crashing into the water below. The picture did not seem peaceful at all. But when the king looked closely, he saw behind the waterfall a tiny bush growing in a crack in the rock. In the bush, a mother bird had built her nest. There, in the midst of the rush of angry water, sat the mother bird on her nest in perfect peace. Which picture do you think the king gave the prize to? The king chose the second picture, but do you know why? Because, the king explained, peace does not mean to be in a place where there is no noise, trouble, or hard work. Peace means to be in the midst of all these things and still be calm in heart. That's the real meaning of peace, he said. I like this definition very much. Peace does not mean to be in a place where there is no noise, trouble, or hard work. Peace means to be in the midst of all these things and still be calm in our hearts. What are we to do when the situations we encounter have us hurriedly turning the TV off or running for cover and longing to find some peace of mind and heart in the midst of all that's going on? From Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore, I share this. It is the law of spirit that we must be that which we would draw to us. If we would draw to us love, then we must be love, be kind and loving. If we would have peace and harmony in our environment, we must establish it within ourselves. It comes from placing our spiritual faculty of faith, I believe, in the love that God has for us and for all life. I feel at peace when I'm able to trust God to guide me and direct me through all the stormy experiences in my life. How do we claim peace? I believe when we practice the presence of God in us, we are practicing the presence of peace as well. Because God is that presence and power in us, the only presence and power in the world, which is our source of peace. It takes practice for us to be able to move from pandemonium to peace. I think practicing the presence of peace is a lot like practicing music. The more we practice music, the more perhaps I should say, the more we practice the piano. That's the instrument that I know. The more our fingers get used to moving across the keys, hitting the right notes, and playing the right rhythm and pattern. This means the more we practice, the more the song sounds like the song is supposed to sound. We are all instruments through which God plays the song of life, and prayer attunes us to the one note that we call God. But the benefit of practicing the presence of peace is that if we practice this regularly, this process of turning within becomes a habit, a good habit. So that when we get shaken by the events in our own lives or in the world, we automatically turn within to get the spiritual tune-up in peace that we are needing. To get the tune-up of love and guidance that we need in order to deal with the issues that we face. Something else happens also when we attune ourselves to God through prayer, meditation. We can move more easily and keep from getting caught in the traps of negativity by watching the news or hearing other devastating news. We become a conduit through which God can work seeming miracles in the situations that we encounter and in the world, because we become a part of the solution by sending out and making available to others positive healing energy by which we can neutralize the fearful negative energy which occurs when there is crisis. Attuning our thoughts to God means that we're opening our heart and mind to God, a presence in us. It means making a conscious connection with divinity, the most sacred aspect of our being. It means resting in the quietness and stillness to be found in God, at the center of our being, where we can listen to God speak to our hearts. Words of love and joy, upliftment, strength, comfort, courage, healing, and peace. There are many tools, many processes, many techniques that can help us experience quietness. And here are some of my favorites. Number 1, prayer and meditation. Reflecting on a Bible verse, an uplifting quote, or an affirmative statement helps to remind me of God's presence in the midst of me and in the midst of everything that concerns me. One of my favorite scriptural passages is John chapter 14, verse 27 through 29. Jesus, speaking from the Christ identity, tells us, "My peace I give unto you, not as the world gives, but my peace. Let not your heart be troubled, and do not be afraid." The story of Jesus stilling the stormy sea in the books of Matthew, Mark, and Luke is another powerful image, another powerful tool for remembering that peace is within us. In unity, we understand that the water represents our emotions, and the wind symbolizes our thoughts. And so the wind that was raging represents our thoughts being tossing about, and the raging sea represents our turbulent emotions. Peace, be still. Jesus speaks to the wind and to the water, and they calm down. They calm, and peace is established. When I say these words to my own heart and mind, those thoughts and feelings of insecurity, fear, worry, anger, resentment, which rage in me at times, also becomes peaceful. Number 2, pause. Take a moment to write a word of gratitude. Or take a deep breath and savor the refreshing feeling of new, revitalizing air entering your body. Enjoy doing nothing for a moment but breathing. Number 3, a way to establish peace. Go outside. Enjoy the beauty of the day. Feel in awe of nature. Listen to the birds sing and the bees hum. Feel thankful for all the possibilities of good that your day holds for you and for others. Number 4, radiate. Let the thought of peace or the inner feeling of peacefulness radiate and express through you in your words, in your interactions with others. Send out the thought and the feeling of peace. Visualize this energy going out, uplifting and inspiring others. 5, listen to or create uplifting music, because music can open our hearts in ways that many other things cannot. 6, find reasons to laugh. There are storytellers and jokesters everywhere these days online, helping to lighten the feeling tone of our impactful days. One coronavirus joke that stays with me is where the guy says, "Hey, you guys, does anyone know if we can now take showers, or do we just continue washing our hands?" I know. I didn't write it. Don't blame me. I'm just sharing it. And number 7, those of you with children or with dogs, get out in the sun, walk them, play with them. Number 8, get creative. Work on your hobby. If you don't have one, create one. I really enjoy coloring in coloring books. And I like to take my camera out to play, shooting the beauty and the unusual things that I see around me in my day. All of these things and more are ways to practice the presence of peace in your life. And when you share it with others, practicing the presence of peace with them. Thank you. God bless you as you and I both put more energy, more time into practicing the presence of peace within us and sharing it around us with others. God bless you. There are meditations that you can listen to online. Unity's 24/7 prayer ministry has numerous short meditations that you can listen to and enjoy. Go to www.silentunity.org for these meditations. And I'm sure that you will find that peace that you are looking for. Have a wonderful day. God bless.